without further ado, let's get to the Tyler Werner Show Call Out of the Week.
It's time for Tyler Werner's Call Out of the Week.
I just think somebody owes us an explanation, that's all.
What's the matter with you? Loser! You're a loser!
Are you kidding me?
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every word I have to say!
And yes, this edition of the Tyler Werner Show Call Out of the Week, as usual, I think it's a little interesting how, last week a couple weeks ago, I was discussing Nick Foles, and some of the things that he lacks, some of the reservations that I have about his future, if he does have a future here with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I cited what he lacked and how he got hurt and everything else, and I think deliberately. I have yet to bring up the name Marcus Mariota in the past few weeks, as we had the scouting combine, obviously, this past week, which he elected to demonstrate his throwing in. And, of course, he ran a 4.51 40 time. Obviously led all quarterbacks in that. I mean, for what it's worth. Not that that's the most important thing, but it certainly is. It certainly is a nice, ideal weapon to have in your, I guess, your arsenal as a quarterback nowadays. And but again, what was bigger news was how he decided to throw at the combine. And I know there's been a lot of skeptics. There's been a lot of skepticism, with regarding Marcus Mariota, because he's an Oregon quarterback and because he played for the quote unquote, Chip Kelly system, the hurry up offense and read option this, read option that, and, quarterback friendly, this and that, system, yada, 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 whatever you want to call it. And, I guess you have a right to be skeptic to some extent. I mean, certainly, I guess some people label the Chip Kelly system as a quarterback-friendly offense or whatever. I mean, I don't know. That didn't really help Mark Sanchez in this season. He still had to make some throws, and or whatever, and he still turned the ball over like he did it with the New York Jets. So, at the end of the day, I kind of throw that out of the window, and whether it's quarterback friendly or not. And I just say, it's at the end of the day, it's still about talent. It's still about the skill set. It's still about decision making. Obviously, an area again where Mark Sanchez is not the brightest decision maker. But, again, we moved to the scouting combine that happened this week. And I guess maybe to prove some doubters wrong, maybe, as to whether or not Marcus Mariota could, do a solid drop back, like Kurt Warner was describing, which Marcus Mariota would then go on to do, as Kurt Warner was describing. People were wondering that. They were questioning Marcus Mariota's arm and, his arm strength and his accuracy maybe. Because, again, it's the whole quarterback-friendly system of Oregon, read option. He's a running quarterback, which I don't think he's just strictly a running quarterback. I think in this combine, he showed through his arm strength, through his accuracy. To me, he was making every throw. His dropbacks, they looked like he knew what he was doing. Again, it was as Kurt Warner was describing. People didn't really believe, a lot of skeptics were unsure if Mariota could pull that kind of stuff off. And what happened, he made his stock rise at the combine. And for a guy that, again, Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly was up there watching him with, a pair of binoculars, of course, and, unsurprisingly, they show the camera. There's a picture of him obviously floating around on the internet now of him with the close up pair of binoculars and everything, and but anyways, again, I mean, he only made his stock rise here, and I know there's some skeptics that they're not sure as to whether he can translate to the NFL, if he can translate his game, and I look at his skill set, and listen to his interviews, and I look at his intelligence. I think as smart as he is, and as complete of a skill set as he seems to have, I said, why can't he translate to the NFL? If the Eagles don't take him, which it's going to take a lot for Chip Kelly to move up and get him now, because again, Mariota's stock only went up after this. I don't understand why Marcus Mariota can't adjust to any system. I mean, people were saying before that, he's a running quarterback. No, he's not just a running quarterback. Look at his arm strength. Look at his accuracy. His decision making, again, I mean, I know it's the college game, but I mean, he had like a 10-to-1 touchdown interception ratio throughout his entire college career. People say how, he lost, they lost the big game against Ohio State, obviously in the college championship, playoffs for the championship. And I get that, but I would argue that Ohio State had a superior defense, and they had a very hot running back. And that's sometimes, that's a good formula to win, obviously, a smash mouth style to win. And I would argue that as well, that, you do need a team surrounding the quarterback, obviously. But at the end of the day, the quarterback is the single most important position. But again, you need it's nice to have a great defense and a great running game and etc., which Ohio State had in that game. But aside from all that, Mariota's college record is, one of the best of, you look at other quarterbacks. I mean, he had a Donovan McNabb, who we, I know, we have our mixed feelings about him, of course, in his tenure here and how it fell short of winning a Super Bowl and everything.
Number 5 will always love you.
I mean, at least there was a long run of considerable success there. In the Eagles at the time, I mean, they picked him to be the franchise quarterback, and he, again, he kind of worked out. He had a decent tenure here as a franchise quarterback, and his college stats, his win-loss record in college was inferior to Marcus Mariota's, and Donovan McNabb, he lost games in college. I mean, every quarterback's going to lose games in college. I mean, not everybody's going to win at the college level, and that's just the reality of it. And yeah, I mean, but I would argue that Marcus Mariota in that game against Ohio State, I mean, he threw 3 touchdowns. He wasn't at his best. We'll say that, but he had one interception the whole game, and it was in garbage time essentially in that game. And again, I mean, it's just you can't win them all. And Ohio State, they had the running game that was on fire. They had the defense. That gave Mariota some trouble in that game. But at the end of the day, you look through history. There's plenty of great quarterbacks in the league that have lost at the collegiate level, that never won at the collegiate level any any major games or whatever, and they panned out fine in the NFL. But that's beside the point. You can debate that. That's not really what I look at. Again, I look at the skill set, and not just the 4.5 40 time that he ran. But that obviously is good. But his ability, the pocket breaks down. He's a guy, get out of the pocket, and then at his 4.5 speed, go get 20 yards, get a first down, say the pocket breaks down on third down, whatever. I mean, obviously that physically and I think I got to think mentally kills oppositions. Like, look at Russell Wilson and some of the stuff he does. Not just like read option stuff, but when a pocket breaks down and the way he just like peels off the other way on a third and long, for instance, and then, boom, he gets 20, 30 yards on a run, and suddenly what you thought was going to be, the end of a drive, time for the Seahawks to punt, turns into a fresh set of downs. I mean, that's got to be, demoralizing right there. And that's something that Marcus Mariota brings to this game, obviously. Something that, sorry, but Nick Foles doesn't. And as far as, if we're going to make those comparisons, and as far as I'm concerned, Mariota's arm strength is superior to Nick Foles. His accuracy, I know it was only a combine, and that this wasn't a game situation, but if you watch the combine, you saw the arms, you saw the zip that Mariota has on the ball. You see, in whatever route you want, the out routes, curls, whatever you want to, fades. I mean, he had the zip on the ball and he had the accuracy. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying that, Marcus Mariota is, he's the next Tom Brady or what, he's going to win multiple Super Bowls or whatever, but he certainly looks like he has a chance to be pretty good in this NFL league. I know there's some concerns like, they run a hurry up offense. Can he run a huddle? And again, I'm thinking, well, whatever offense he goes to, I think he's a smart enough guy. The way he's, again, as a student, as a guy who surveys the field and whatever, his decision making, I got to think he's a smart enough guy that he'll be able to pick up on those things and fit anybody. I think the notion that he's a system quarterback, I think, look at his skill set, look at his intelligence. I think he can fit anybody. But again, you need, I also think it's important to have a decent team around you, obviously. There's other elements that go into it, but the franchise quarterback is the number one priority. And when you have a guy like Marcus Mariota, who has essentially run the same plays as Chip Kelly runs with the Eagles or whatever, and will actually be able to open up more of that playbook that Chip Kelly has that he can't do with Nick Foles.
Let's make some noise, come on!
Obviously, given his lack of mobility. Mariota would fit like a glove here in this Eagles offense. And his skill set, again, to me is superior to, it's kind of all you can ask for. I think to myself, what is holding Mariota back? Like, I just can't think of anything. There's the possibilities like, can he adjust to the NFL? That's the real question. And I'm thinking, well, doesn't every quarterback that comes out of the college game, isn't that also something in question? Doesn't every quarterback that comes, don't they face the same questions? I wonder if, he can translate that to the NFL game. And again, I look at his skill set and I think, why not? And again, him and Chip Kelly, as far as, Chip Kelly and, I guess, quote unquote, the genius of Chip Kelly, if you want to believe in genius or not, we won't really entirely get to know that, I think, as long as Nick Foles is the quarterback here. That's just my thoughts on that. And again, it continues to be a topic of discussion right here in the Tyler Werner Show. And as always, you can get in on this discussion, 610-683-4058. And certainly we'll have more to get to on the other side. Especially since, actually, of all people, Andy Reid had some things to say on some of what the Eagles are doing in the front office.
Time's yours.
So we'll get into a little bit of that later on as well. With that in mind, it's time to hit halftime on the Tyler Werner Show. So again, 610-683-4058. 4058. That's the way to get in right here in the show as always. We're facebook.com/Tyler Werner Show. We've got a lot more things to get into in the 12 o'clock hour. So without further ado, I'll lead you into the halftime portion once again with the Metallica-themed legal ID that I forgot to ask Mitch Lambert whether or not he has a role in it, but I'm pretty sure that voice is very well Mitch Lambert, who joined us earlier and always joins us early in the Tyler Werner Show. So with that in mind, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.